All right, it looks like the iBuying market is becoming the iDying market, and that's going to usher in a whole new way of doing real estate in the very near future. Welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns. Randy Patrick here, putting the realism back in real estate. Today is the 8th of March. The days are going by. Always something to talk about in real estate. I could do a video every day, but I'm sure you guys don't want to see that. This video is brought to you today by our friends at foreclosure.com. So if you'd like to see what's happening with distressed properties in your own neighborhood, in your own backyards, go to gethousingdata.com. That's gethousingdata.com. You can check out the tax deeds, the pre-foreclosures, the auctions, or whatever. It gives you a good sort of, feeling as to what's happening in your own neighborhood, your own market. So again, things are going to be heating up in the distressed property world. It's already started. And go to gethousingdata.com. There's a free trial, by the way, so you can check out what's happening and take a look at some cool properties. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the iBuying market. And the reason why I say it's the iDying market, because yet we have another iBuyer, a few other groups that are experiencing losses in this environment. So look at this, and again, I know I'm a couple days late with this topic, but there's a reason for that, and we'll get into it as time goes on here. Amid heavy financial losses, iBuyers bought 70,000 homes in 2021, but they're having a tough time generating profits. So obviously, Zillow released a report and said, hey, look, this is what's happening in the iBuyer market, and really, they're taking a beating. So why are they taking a beating? Well, a lot of these iBuyers have raised money. They've gone through IPOs. A lot of it is a stock play. They're overbuying. This needs to work in an appreciating market. Things have changed now. The market's slowing down. Buyers are not as interested anymore, especially if rates go up. So there's a lot of factors at play here. But I don't know really how long this can actually last, because you take a look at, there's going to be areas where the iBuying might work, and obviously certain companies like Opendoor, OfferPad, whatever, they're out there marketing. You can see the billboards. Listen, every time I'm driving in my car and I'm looking at property, I hear, I've got the radio on, just the normal FM radio stations, and you hear all these ads, not just for iBuyers, but other real estate groups as well, too. So basically, a lot of them are looking at, and they're playing in the large markets. They don't play in tier 3 and 4 type cities. They play in tier 1, tier 2 type cities where there's opportunity. So basically, although the number of homes sold nationally using an iBuyer dropped roughly 20% from Q3 to Q4, iBuyer sales increased in 4 metros: Columbia, South Carolina; Miami, Florida; Lakeland, Florida; and Raleigh, North Carolina. So basically, we can see that there's some shifting going on, and they're gonna put their efforts where they think they can make their money, of course, and where there still is some good appreciation going on. Now, the unique thing about the iBuyers, though, is the fact that at some point in time they've got to make money. So really, it's quite interesting, because you look at some of the stats here. During the fourth quarter, iBuyers on average held the homes they sold for 98 days, which includes the time it took to get the home ready to sell, the time its home spent on the market, the time it took to close the sale. This time period is 3 weeks longer than the 79 days recorded in the previous quarter. Okay, so basically, it's taking longer to move properties. What they're saying here, well, maybe it's a typical seasonal slowdown with respect to wintertime, which, I have to agree there. We do see some slowdown. Once American Thanksgiving hits, people are not really thinking about moving and buying homes till after into the new year. And depending on where you're located, the winter weather does provide slowdowns. And we, of course, have ongoing labor issues, material shortages, construction and repair backlogs. So that's all in play here with a lot of property. So, but again, in the end, you buy property, you've paid for it, you hold it, there's a cost of holding, then you got to sell it, and the longer it takes, the more you're subjected to market fluctuations. Now, this is kind of interesting. For all the transactions iBuyers did in 2021, only one was profitable, which was OfferPad, which posted $6.5 million in net income. Zillow notably lost so much money through its headfirst dive into iBuying that it shelved the program in November. So yeah, it lost $881 million. So that's no longer going on. And I can tell you that Zillow was trying to sell properties, because we saw some of them pop up on the local MLS here. Interesting. Opendoor, however, managed to exceed Zillow's overall net loss in 2021, recording a $662 million loss on its own. Not analyzed in the report was Redfin, who's I guess the CEO stressed they're not just an iBuyer brokerage, but they still had a $110 million loss due to ramping up its iBuying program. So ultimately, in the end, it seems like there's very few of these iBuyers that are actually eking out a profit. And when you do, 6.5 million in net income, that's not huge amount of money. That's close to, obviously it's greater than zero, but when these guys are losing 881 million, 662 million, that profit doesn't seem very big at all. All right. And, they could be on the other side of that, of the zero, in the future. So it's kind of interesting to see how that kind of plays out here. Obviously, this is from wolfstreet.com here. Opendoor Technologies had a reported loss of 191 for Q4, brought its net loss for the year of 662 million, which brought its total losses for the 4 years publicly disclosed to 1.5 billion. So how can a house flipper lose 1.5 billion in 4 years? I don't know either, but it isn't over yet, as the company ended the year with an inventory of 17,000 plus unsold homes. So guess what? Depending on where those homes sell for, could be further and growing losses, which really begs us to kind of ask the question, does this actual iBuying thing work? I can tell you that obviously you've got these larger companies that have got funding from Wall Street and venture capital, all that type of stuff. So they're out there working, and it's got to work in an appreciating market. So you know what? That's just the iBuyers. Well, as far as I'm concerned, iBuying is nothing more than glorified house flipping or glorified wholesaling opportunities, right? So they're competing with the other wholesalers and fix and flippers out there. I can tell you that other real estate brokerages like a Keller Williams, like an EXP, they came up with their own iBuying platform or iBuying groups as well too. And this is the fun thing, is that iBuying this is not a what am I saying here? This is not a ultra new, really cool technology that it's groundbreaking. It's going to make a difference in the industry, because it really hasn't. And actually, it's causing more problems than ever, which is I guess that's not what we want to see. We always want to see success happening here. But what happens when you have an iBuying application? You hear something, you go to their website, you fill some information out, you get an offer, okay, and then guess what? One of their reps calls you. And typically, a lot of these iBuyers are actual licensed real estate brokerage firms. And the people that actually call you from there to talk about the offer moving forward, they're actual real estate agents, okay? So in the end, it's just really kind of, a way of just playing things a little differently, trying to make it easier for the homeowner. Yeah, what does the homeowner gain? Well, you're not doing open houses, you're not showing, you don't need to do curb appeal and add money to the property. So it's good for him to be a guaranteed offer, but are they leaving money on the table? Yeah, we've seen some reports that they have left money on the table, and I guess that all depends on what you value when you're selling your home. Is less money better than you than disruption, doing all the extra work or whatever? So it all depends on how things are done. As far as, like I can be an iBuyer. I've got lots of, potential partners and guys who have tons of money who want to buy properties, distressed property through me. So I can create a online portal where you come in and, type in your information. I get it. I'll respond to you with an offer. I'll do some quick comps and send you an offer, and then I'll call you, and then I want to go see your house. So really, it's not like it's that sophisticated a model, and I think this is going to have some problems for. I guess it's not going to have. It's showing problems for the industry. Okay, this is the fun part. When you dig deep into what's happening with, say, an Opendoor here, it said Opendoor financed this inventory with 6.1 billion in non-recourse debt backed by its houses. So non-recourse means if Opendoor defaults, its lenders get the house and cannot go after Opendoor's other assets. So basically, money equals house, okay? If Opendoor can't sell those houses or pay off the debt, it can just hand the properties off to the lenders and let them worry about the houses, which is interesting. It's under contract to purchase 5,400 more homes for 1.9 billion. So that's already in. So let's get this right. They've got losses. They've got a whole bunch of homes sitting in inventory that they're, I guess, fixing up and trying to get ready for sale. And then they've already got, contractual obligations of 1.9 billion. So it's a lot of mess there. And they could probably default on those contracts, I would imagine. About 2/3 of these 17,000 homes are finished and ready for resale. About 1/3 are work in progress and not for sale. If you take a look at it, it's, this is the thing, is that, is this supply going back out in the market where everyday buyers can buy it? Who knows in the future? Zillow, for example, did the same thing with the big portion of the homes. It sold them to mostly institutional buyers. So once again, Zillow raises money, or whoever these iBuyers, they raise money, not their money. They spend, they maybe misread the market, where we're going to make it up in services. So a lot of these groups like an Opendoor or Zillow, they want to make money up on the title work and maybe offering mortgages and stuff like that. So they want to keep all the ancillary services in-house where they can make up for the reduction in price. So really they're buying the market share is what they're doing here. But in the end, here's what happens to Zillow. While you think, well, suddenly all these markets are going to see this new wave of homes for sale. No, they didn't put them on the market. They put actually very few properties on the market. And a lot of them I saw that came on market through the local MLS have ended up disappearing. Reason why? Because they're selling them in bulk packages to other institutional investors like other hedge funds. Okay, so in the end, that's part of the losses they're taking. They're just transferring ownership, getting something for it, of course. So really, it doesn't seem to make sense. This model doesn't really work. As he says here, house flipping is easy. The first part, buying the house when money is no objective, and you can and your algorithm says you can spend whatever you want. The rest is hard, and making money is even harder, especially if you overpaid in the first place. This activity is not suited for people who write algorithms, it turns out, which is right, because stuff changes, and you really have to get down to the local metro area, the micro market, to find out what's going on, and you can make a lot of mistakes. And so with inventory issues, with buyer sentiment, with labor and construction prices going up and labor shortages, materials, the whole bit. I mean, it doesn't make for a great business model, especially if you have a ton of these homes that are waiting to be deployed. And that's what happens. So, but again, I look at this as just being like a short-term, in-between technology kind of play here that looked interesting. And of course, it garnered a lot of attention. And, let's get the money, the iBuyers, the whole bit, like, it's the next best thing in real estate. Well, maybe it's not, all right? And I think it's kind of run its course, I believe. So we'll see what's going to happen in the near future with where these guys are going to go. Redfin, of course, originally an online broker, they did, they jumped into it. This is obviously from wolfstreet.com. But the whole point, though, is that, besides the net losses with respect to the actual cash they have, now all their shares are taking big dumps. So Zillow shares were down, Opendoors were down, and Redfin's down too. So it's kind of like, what? You raise the money, you have the great share prices, and then you can't produce, and now you're stuck with, mounting losses and inventory you can't sell. Wow, there you go. So it's almost like you're getting hit on the stock side and on the cash side. So what are you going to do? Not too sure, but not a good look for a lot of these guys. And as I said, I don't think that on a personal note that this was all that interesting or all that financially, it wasn't as innovative to a point, but there's something going, we'll talk about that next, something even better down the road here. So, but guys, if you're not already subscribed to my channel and you value my information, please do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. Help my channel grow. And those of you who are subscribers, hey, you know what? Get on the notification list, hit that bell, or please check your subscription because, quite frankly, I have a lot of people contact me and say, yep, you're right. I've fallen off the subscribe for your channel. So if you could resubscribe, that would be great. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying to do some things behind the scenes to sort of manage my channel here and deal with the stuff I deal with on an ongoing basis, which isn't easy, but we're getting making some headway. So again, if you guys could continue to subscribe and view, I'd really appreciate that. Okay, so this is where stuff's going to head in the future. All right, and we'll get to that in 1 second here. The reason I want to talk about it is because this just happened in our own backyard. All right. So what we're seeing what we will see in the future is the convergence of what I would call the crypto market. So cryptocurrency, blockchain, NFTs, non-fungible tokens. We'll see this now converging into real estate. So that's why I mentioned the iBuying was a unique kind of setup for a few years, but in the end, it's just, how can I put it? It's just sort of, I don't call it a shell game. It's just a different way of approaching the market with the same underlying issues. Okay, so in the future, because it just happened recently here, we're going to see digitizing the opportunity, we'll just call it that, will take off, and this will be a whole new way of doing real estate in the very future. So why I want to talk about this is the fact that iBuying is dying. The next new wave you're going to see in the future here is crypto, blockchain, NFTs now moving into the real estate world. So a couple of weeks ago, we actually had a local home in our Tampa Bay area here was put up for auction. And again, this wasn't a distressed auction. Somebody had bought the property, rehabbed the property, and was putting the property up for purchase via an auction, but they were selling the home as an NFT, a non-fungible token. So obviously, that's in the crypto world. Now, the whole thing about an NFT is that the only people that could bid on this are people who are in the crypto world, because essentially you're using Ethereum to your Ethereum coins or whatever coin, but coins or cryptocurrency to buy this property as the NFT. So the NFT was the property. There's more to this than meets the story, but the whole point is that it happened here in just in the suburb of Tampa here. It happened across just south of St. Pete's, and this was the first property in North America to be sold as an NFT. I think there was one condo sold in Russia maybe a few months ago that was the first in the world, but this is the first in North America as far as we know, and it was sold right here in our backyard. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, because this is where things are going to go. So I think the iBuying is kind of going to face a slow death, and people are going to get more involved in with crypto markets and the digitization of stuff like this. So we'll see more of this in the future. How am I involved with this? Well, sort of in a way, I'm going to be more involved in the future, but a group that I sort of hang out with that are one of my clients, I do real estate events with them and stuff like that. They had a grand opening a couple of weeks ago, in their new office, whatever. So I was there speaking and just doing the stuff that we normally would do. And the people that were involved with this transaction spoke as well. So, the guy who I'm working with, his goal is to sort of bridge the gap and merge real estate with crypto, and whether it's NFT or different ways via blockchain, there's a lot of openness to all this, and we got to figure it out. But the point though is that this did happen, all right? And this is interesting, and we spoke, the people that were there, the actual people that were involved with this, talked about what happened. So the big promo was Tampa Bay home being sold as an NFT. So that was basically, you had to register for the auction. Obviously, you have to use your cryptocurrency to purchase it. So that's what happened. And in the end, we take a look at it. It did sell, so it was a real transaction. And ultimately, this is the last, I guess you could say, we'll call it, newspaper article about this. But Gulfport Home and First Nation sold as NFT. Buyer pays $655 in cryptocurrency. So essentially, if you take a look at it, it was sold as an NFT, non-fungible token, and ultimately it was sold. It was a auction. So again, it wasn't a distressed auction. It was just a normal auction, as you could say. The title of Gulfport Home will be turned into an NFT. Owners said some of the benefits of using crypto are the speed and efficiency of the transaction. About 2,000 people signed up for the auction. And the winning bid was around that 655 number, and that would have equated to and again, whatever Ethereum was transacted that day. It's something like, it was like 202.4 Ethereum tokens. Okay, so that was what the going price was. Well, why this is so interesting is the fact that because it was an NFT, because of how it was designed, it's legit. Like, other words, there's no issues, there's no fraud availability. It's a one-off item. Some person bought it. The minute they bought it, the Ethereum was transferred from their wallet to the homeowner's wallet. Once it, and then that person got the NFT, which was really, we'll call it the rights to the property within the NFT. So it was clean. And what did this do? Well, talking to the people that were involved, it's like they wanted to do something to show it's possible, which is interesting. That we're going to see a lot more of the crypto world converging with real estate in the future, which I certainly agree with. And the fact of the matter is, it was it's a secure transaction. So it wasn't like we had to get wire moneyed and close this and sign documents, and there's things that could happen with fraud, whatever. It basically was, money went from one wallet, crypto wallet, to another crypto wallet, and it's done. Transaction's over. The NFT was the, we'll call it I'll call that word the token that said, yep, it's yours now. That gives you the rights to the property. And if you think about it, what did they avoid? They avoided paying commissions. They avoided some of the normal title company closing costs and things like that. So, it was one of those things where this may be a more efficient way of doing real estate. It's maybe more secure, and it might be a cost savings, because in the end, what you're doing is you're taking out some elements that really, you don't necessarily need or don't want to pay for. So, this is the first one, and this is new. And I'm sure, if you take a look at it, there's going to be all sorts of people that'll try to poke holes in it and go, well, why can't it be done, or what you're circumventing, etc. But the point is, it was done, and it's legit, and it's real, and this is where things are going to head. So, as I said, if I go to the iBuying world, where iBuyers essentially, maybe that's a little bit passé now. I think that ship has sailed, and we're going to start to see the slowing down of the iBuying opportunity. Whereas what we'll see in the future is we'll see more crypto being involved. And if you think about it, if you take a look at, like who's involved with cryptocurrency, well, you got to know what you're doing. But I think it's also a younger generation. So if you think about millennials and Generation Zs or whatever, people, they're much more open to new things, to doing things digitally, via social media, via online, whatever. And this is, if that's going to be the biggest potential pool of buyers as time goes on, then this structure, doing it, via blockchain and NFTs, or as long as it's in the crypto world, will probably resonate with that age and we'll call it market demographic better than it will with somebody 65 plus, for example. No offense to those who know what crypto is and actually do it or trade in it or whatever, if you're older. But the point is, you can see where sometimes technology sort of ushers its way in, and you don't expect it. It's like, okay, this is cool, and we can see this moving forward a lot faster because the market demand or the interest in doing this may push it forward faster than was expected or what other people were thinking. So I look at it, this might be a way where we start seeing the iBuyers slowly dying the vine, and new transactions happen, and it may be, it just could be different. This could impact the real estate market in so many different ways, right? Do you need a real estate agent? Do you need a mortgage? I mean, like, think about that. You don't, right? Put it up for auction or go view it. And we do it, this can all be done without those typical, no title, no agent, no mortgage if you've got the Ethereum or, the cryptocurrency. And we were kind of curious going, what happens if, say, you bought your, a cryptocurrency a few years ago? I think at the time Ethereum was trading around 3,200 or something like that. So maybe you bought it back in the day when you spent $200 for each one. You see, so in theory, you bought a house for a cheap amount because when you bought your Ethereum or when you bought your crypto. So you see, there's some interesting things to think about when you're looking at this type of application. So and that's why we were all wondering, going, could this be a huge thing, or who could, like, if, in theory, your young teenage son or daughter could have bought this. Mom and Dad, I got a house. Yeah, it only cost me 200 Ethereum. Well, what'd you buy your Ethereum for? I bought it for $2 each. I mean, like, who knows, right? I'm just saying I know that's may not make sense, but that's the type of stuff that could happen in the future. And where people who are heavily invested or who are buying the crypto cheap early on are actually stealing, and legitimately stealing, getting fabulous price points because of their dollar averaging on their investments. So this is interesting. My whole point, though, is that this is where things are going to go, and I'm trying to get involved with this as best as I can to learn it. I've got some ideas and applications that I want to hook up with people and implement on. So because it's interesting, but again, this is why, and this happened in our own backyard. So the first sort of NFT sold just outside the Tampa area here, our backyard, and it's interesting in how it played out. And we learned a little bit from the people that spoke at the event and what they went through, etc. It just was kind of cool how it all played out. And this, everyone, is the start of many more of these to come over the next year and many more. So again, let's go back to the distress side. So there are two housing markets in play right now. Mainstream retail market, which is on market, which means on the MLS, on Zillow and Realtor.com, or the shadow inventory, which is off market. It doesn't exist optically, but it's there behind the scenes, which means you got to go get it or have somebody get it for you. So ultimately, in the end, I talked about this last video. Why is distressed housing going to be important? Well, because we had 2 million plus people in forbearance, right? And that's the numbers that we're told. We know it's more, but these are extrapolations of samples, blah, blah, blah. You know how I feel about that. 1.2 million people in forbearance came out of it. By then, from August to end of the year 2021, we got 800,000 people coming out in 2022. That's a lot of distressed property. 51% of delinquent loans, so 51% of people who have delinquent loans are not in any loss mitigation program. They're not in any loss mitigation program, which means they're not seeking assistance from their lender or anybody, which means they're primed to lose their properties via foreclosure. 72% of those that are actually in the loss mitigation program, so people, you're in a loss mitigation program, 72% of those who are in the programs are not paying for the programs, which basically means you're not paying the toll for your loan mod or this and that, which means if you don't pay, you're eventually going to fall into the foreclosure side of things. So the estimate of 3 to 10 million foreclosures. That's the range I've heard over the years here, the past couple of years. So I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. But we have people who we have a lot of people that I know that are going, no, we think it's going to be close to that 10 million number. And again, that's why this is such a great opportunity now, because things are just starting. All right. And think about that. Think about getting distressed property and matching them, some of them as NFTs, and having people bid on them. I think it's kind of exciting. That's where I want to go with this. Remember, I've got the build to rent, build to flip program. If you want information, the Distressed Deal Architect program is available right now. It's 8-week live training starting in a couple of weeks. So I got some pre-training stuff I can give you to get going. That we're going to do live trainings like once a week for 8 weeks on the hottest topics in distressed property, where you need to look, how to do it, etc. So big time stuff going on here. Short sale programs, no more, guys. I do think it's an advanced program, and I think more people are better suited to start this market off in the Distressed Deal Architect, because it's a broader program. It covers if you have to go into a short sale deal or need a short sale program down the road. It'll be in a different format. It won't be, but I guess the benefits that I had for people now aren't going to be there in the future, guys. Sometimes you got to shelf stuff. So, but the point is, a lot of things are going to happen. You guys want to participate in the off-market distress stuff. That's what you want to do, and the reason why you want to do it, it's very straightforward, because you can get some great deals at some really good prices, like we did here, closing for one of my clients. Okay, so great deal. Got a huge discount from the lender. Instant equity you walk into here, and it just goes to show that there are deals here, and that, debunking the narrative that people who are facing foreclosure are just going to sell their property and walk away with money in their jeans and not go to foreclosure doesn't actually work, guys, in various markets. And we're going to see more of this starting to manifest as the months go on. So that's it. If you want more information, please reach out to me. You can connect with me at my email. We'll set up a call. We'll chat about things. But as I said, stuff's happening now. The world's changing in real estate. And it's like two things are happening. We see the convergence of technology, and I mean, again, the iBuying is not necessarily new technology. I'm talking about crypto, blockchain, NFTs, that type of technology converging with real estate. That's happening as we speak, so you need to be aware of that, and also be aware of what's happening in the distressed property market. Just try to marry those two and get opportunity to either own a home or make some great income along the way. All right, guys. Once again, thanks for the views, likes, comments. Please share the video with your family and friends. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Reach out to me for more information, and we'll look forward to speaking with you guys the next couple days.